Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. I'm looking at a book from SPIRAMUS Press. It's VAT and Property, written by Ann L Humphrey. Ann's produced an excellent book here, and one that I'm sure people will find of great help, both people who are practitioners and advisors, and also the general public as well, because SPIRAMUS is effectively a professional publisher, but I think this book has a much wider appeal. My wife Elizabeth and I have written a review of the book. It's been titled Clear and Practical Guidance on the Application of VAT to Property. More about that in a minute. Let's have a look at the book first. There is a CD, which is at the back. I'll talk about that in a minute. There's the front of the book, the spine, and then there's the back, and there's a little bit of a statement about what's in the book and about SPIRAMUS. The CD I'll talk about later. It is something you want to have a look at. There is a good useful index at the back, and then the book itself is structured in quite an interesting way. You've got paragraph numbering, which is at the sides there, and footnotes at the bottom. Excuse me, there's the front, and then we've got the contents sections. There we go, that's the first part. There's a lot. The actual contents are where you will probably find what you're looking for quite quickly. Depending on what sort of property you've got, I'll go through some of the information in a minute, but it ends up right at the end with caravans and caravan parks, and then the CD actually has the HMRC forms and guidance. Then there's some cases, not too many of them, statutes after that, and then some European directives down that side, and then abbreviations. The abbreviations are very helpful because we all forget from time to time what some of these things mean. Then we start with the introduction. Now, do have a read of the introduction, because Anne has produced some useful stuff right at the beginning to explain. There's no preface as such or forward, but the introduction does explain exactly what she's planning. I've just opened the book right in the middle. Supplies of commercial properties and the option to tax. There we go, that's that chapter 9. And again, you can see basically what it looks like as a book. It runs to 250 odd pages. So it's a paperback, it's not too heavy. And I found it quite easy to read, actually. There's a lot of detail, which I'll come on to. This is what we say, though. Solicitor Ann Humphrey has produced excellent guidance for both advisors and lay clients on the vexed issue of where value-added tax, VAT, is applicable on property transactions. The book looks at all the main areas which are applicable, and there's an extremely useful CD which comes with the work. The introduction really sets the scene. Quote, that, when it was introduced in the UK on the 1st of April 1973, was billed as a simple tax. The author rightly concludes that over the ensuing 40 years, it has, quote, proved to be anything but simple. And I'm sure everybody who's been involved in tax, filling in the forms, claiming it and everything else, will know exactly what we mean by that. Humphrey's aim is to provide an understanding of the VAT framework for many of the common property transactions which take place. She also deals astutely with some of the problems which may arise. The book provides simple explanations with sufficient detail to make the work of great use to a wide range of readers. And SPIRAMUS Press continues to provide both practical and professional titles covering tax, accountancy, finance and business law, and this particular title will be of great assistance to anyone who seeks advice on what is frankly a difficult area of taxation and revenue law. The book has about 260 pages and 13 chapters, starting with the introduction, which is quite easy to read, even though there is a rather large amount of technical tax information contained in it, but she sort of brings you into it quite nicely, I think. The following chapters then cover these issues: the general VAT rules, VAT liability, VAT reliefs, refunds, buildings used for residential or charitable purposes, housing associations, relief for protected buildings, commercial property, the building industry, exemptions and the capital goods scheme, CGS, the transfer of a business as a going concern, the TOGC, and caravans and caravan parks right at the end. That, of course, does include mobile homes. Frankly, finally, right at the back are the RC forms and guidance notes. So what Ann Humphrey and SPIRAMUS Press have produced here is a very much of a user-friendly guide, which doesn't detract from the enormity of the VAT system itself as it's sort of developed. No consideration is given concerning other taxes, so it's very much a standalone VAT book with no details concerning other forms of tax, because the work provides general guidance in respect of potential VAT issues only, and that is the basic aim of Ann's work. If it's of any comfort to the reader, the simple approach adopted here, together with the most useful case law examples, but not too many of them, will more than amply provide anyone involved in property matters with the level of general information which we think will give a certain peace of mind whilst negotiations for a sale or transfer are taking effect. There's the additional support of the CD, which I mentioned, containing extra details about VAT forms and guidance for specific areas covered in the individual chapters, although the book doesn't really explain how to use the CD, so what you need to do is look at it and then you'll see what additional information has been included. Notwithstanding that, VAT and Property is an excellent, it really is an excellent point of reference for business and for any advisors in this branch of the law of real property and of revenue law, and I'm very grateful to Anne for producing it. She's produced a number of works, and this is the most recent. For many it's just about to come out. I'm recording this at the end of February, and the book is actually being launched round about this time in this country, and then abroad it's going to be a bit later, March time. There we go, there's the middle of the book. Buildings used for relevant residential or relevant charitable purposes. So she's really tried to cover in all this information a very large amount of ground, and I think she does extremely well. As I say, do read the introduction. I'll just show that again, the introduction, which actually gives you, she tells you really what her purpose is. And right at the back, that's the short list of HMR RC forms and guidance, but what you've got with the CD is a lot more extra information which is sort of built upon. So that's really your guide, and then use the CD if you're looking for anything specific. Anyway, thank you to Anne and thank you to SPIRAMUS very much indeed for an excellent new book in a difficult area of revenue law. I'm most grateful for it. Bye bye.